Come out!
In The Chosen Season 5, the final journey begins. Not with a sword, but with tears, broken hearts, and a betrayal so devastating it will shake heaven and earth. What happens when the people you came to save are the ones who turn against you? Stay with us because everything is about to change and nothing will ever be the same again. The Chosen Season 5 opens with a gut punch. Right away we're drawn into scenes from the Last Supper, but it's not just one big event saved for the finale. No, this season bleeds with the Last Supper from the start. Every episode peels back a new layer of it. One conversation, one warning, one tear at a time. And in episode 1, the very first words from Jesus set the tone. He is leaving them. He is about to be betrayed. And though the disciples swear their loyalty with everything they have, there's a heaviness and ache in the air because deep down they're scared. Watching Jesus speak with such calm certainty while everyone around him trembles is almost unbearable. You want to scream at the screen to tell them to listen harder, believe deeper, stay stronger. But history is already in motion, and nothing can stop what's coming. After that heart-wrenching glimpse into the future, we're snapped back to where Season 4 left us. Jesus and the disciples making their way to Jerusalem. The city lies ahead, like a shining dream or a looming storm. Before they even reach the gates, opposition begins. Zebedee and Yosef, two men we once trusted, are now stumbling blocks. Zebedee especially lashes out furious that Jesus is riding in on a donkey as the prophecy foretold. To him, this is dangerous, reckless, an invitation for bloodshed. Yosef is quieter, torn between doubt and hope, but still not ready to stand beside Jesus. Their warnings hang in the air like smoke, and yet Jesus doesn't stop. He rides forward. The cheers of the people rise like a tide, Hosanna to the Son of David, and for a moment you feel the thrill of victory. But under it all, there's a deep sadness in Jesus' eyes. He knows this. Celebration is short-lived. He knows the cries of Hosanna will soon twist into shouts of crucify him. One of the most stunning moments comes when Jesus quietly slips away from the noise. He walks the city streets alone, unseen, but all-seeing. He blesses a young couple at a wedding, blending into the crowd, not wanting to cause a scene. But a young boy spots him, and suddenly the crowd surges with recognition. Yet even in their adoration, Jesus seems distant, almost sorrowful. He ascends to a high wall, looking down on the temple and the people. And this is where one of the season's most powerful scenes unfolds. Jesus weeps over Jerusalem. You can almost feel the weight of his heartbreak. The knowledge that the city he loves will be destroyed, that the people cheering for him today will betray him tomorrow. It's not anger that fills him. It's grief deep and endless. Through his tears, we catch a terrifying glimpse of the future. The temple in flames, the streets soaked in fear. It's a chilling flash forward that leaves you stunned, knowing that the clock is ticking, that history is already bleeding into destiny. But Season 5 isn't just about heartbreak. It's also about preparation. About moments of light and laughter before the darkness closes in. One of these moments comes when Peter, our stubborn, passionate Peter, decides he's going to preach. Jesus asks the disciples to spread his teachings throughout the city, and Peter, never one to back down, jumps at the chance. But of course, Peter being Peter, he's a bundle of nerves. He begs Matthew to be there to write down all the crazy things I say, just in case. The banter between them is hilarious, and it reminds us that even in the shadow of death, life still shines brightly. Matthew's dry response, "Yeah, you'll be terrible," lands like a breath of fresh air in the middle of all the tension. It's a reminder that these characters aren't just biblical figures, they're human beings. Flawed, scared, brave, ridiculous, and beautiful. And we know that every laugh they share now makes the pain that's coming even sharper. And as the first episode races toward its end, we get a glimpse of the storm brewing inside the temple itself. Jesus is preparing for something no one expects. He's not just coming to preach, he's coming to confront, to cleanse. The end of episode 1 shows him preparing a whip, and you can almost hear the temple walls shaking in anticipation. The battle between love and corruption, between light and darkness, is about to explode in the most dramatic way imaginable. Episode 2 throws us straight into the fire. The temple is supposed to be the holiest place in all of Israel. But what Jesus finds there turns his sorrow into righteous fury. It's a marketplace, a noisy, greedy mess where money changers and merchants trample over the sacred. Instead of prayer, there's shouting. Instead of repentance, there's bargaining. And Jesus doesn't just stand there, he acts. With fire in his eyes and heartbreak in his chest, he overturns the tables. Coins scatter across the stone floors, cages crack open, doves burst into the air in frantic flutters. Merchants shout in outrage, but no one can stop him. His voice echoes through the temple courts. "My house shall be called a house of prayer, but you have made it a den of thieves." It's the kind of scene that leaves you breathless. This isn't the gentle teacher of Galilee. This is the roaring Lion of Judah, and the world will never be the same again. But with every whip crack, with every broken stall, Jesus carves his name deeper into the hearts of both his followers and his enemies. The fallout is immediate. The religious leaders are furious. Their fear curdles into hatred as they watch their power slipping through their fingers. This man, this carpenter from Nazareth, threatens everything they've built. And in a quiet, smoky room, the first real seeds of murder are planted. Caiaphas, the high priest, gathers the other leaders. They don't speak openly yet, but the air between them is thick with unspoken intent. It's no longer a question of whether Jesus must die. It's how soon they can make it happen. Watching these powerful men, so desperate to protect their fragile positions, plot in the shadows sends a chill down your spine. You know what's coming. You want to scream that it's not too late to turn back. But pride is a heavy chain, and they are already bound by it. Meanwhile, among the disciples, cracks are beginning to show. The confrontation at the temple shook them more than they admit. Some are terrified that Jesus has pushed too far. Others are confused, trying to reconcile the man who healed lepers and calmed storms with the one who now lashes out against corruption. And in the middle of all of this, Judas watches, silent, calculating, restless. You can see it in his eyes. The doubt, the anger, the fear. Judas has always been ambitious, always dreamed of a revolution that would overthrow Rome and restore Israel's glory. But Jesus isn't following the script Judas hoped for. Instead of seizing power, he talks of death, of sacrifice. And Judas, poor, proud Judas, begins to wonder if he's back to the wrong man. His loyalty frays at the edges, and though he says nothing, you can feel the storm inside him growing. Every glance, every hesitation, every forced smile tightens, the noose around his neck. Amidst the tension, Jesus prepares his disciples for even harder days ahead. He speaks of betrayal, of suffering, of the destruction of the temple itself. His words are heavy, layered with meaning, and they land like stones in the hearts of those who love him. When he tells them plainly that one among them will betray him, the room falls into stunned silence. No one knows where to look. Peter, always the first to speak, swears he would rather die than abandon Jesus. Others nod in fierce agreement, but Jesus' eyes soften with sorrow. He knows the truth. He knows that the road ahead will strip away their bravado, exposing every weakness, every fear. And he knows that love, real love, means walking forward anyway, even when those closest to you are about to break your heart. And yet, even as the world begins to close in around him, Jesus never loses his gentleness. He visits the poor, heals the sick, teaches the lost. His compassion shines even brighter against the gathering darkness. In one of the most moving moments of the episode, Jesus sits with a group of children, telling them stories and laughing with them. His hands, the same hands that overturned the money tables, now cradle the face of a weeping child with infinite tenderness. It's a reminder that strength and kindness are not opposites. They are inseparable. That love is fiercest when it's most vulnerable. And it's a reminder to us, watching with breaking hearts, that no matter how dark the coming days may be, the light that shines from him will never, ever be extinguished. As the days unfold, the divide between Jesus and the religious authorities widens into an open chasm. The Sanhedrin, humiliated and furious, plots in secret. Every move Jesus makes, every word he speaks, is now a threat to their fragile control. They send spies to trap him, to twist his words against him. Pharisees and Sadducees alike bombard him with questions, hoping to corner him, to catch him saying something that could justify his death. But Jesus, with a calm that stuns even his enemies, answers every trap with divine wisdom. "Render to Caesar what is Caesar's," he says, silencing a crowd that had been poised to accuse him of rebellion. "And to God what is God's." It's a simple sentence, yet it cuts deeper than any sword. His enemies grit their teeth, realizing they are dealing with a force they cannot intimidate, a king who cannot be bought, silenced, or tricked. And for the first time, a horrifying realization begins to dawn on them. If they cannot discredit him, they will have to destroy him. Meanwhile, Jesus turns his gaze toward the city itself, Jerusalem, the heart of his people, the place he has longed to gather under his wings like a mother hen protects her chicks. Standing on a hill overlooking the glittering rooftops and golden temple, Jesus begins to weep, real, aching tears. Not for himself, not for the suffering he knows is coming, but for the people who will not see, who refuse to hear the call to repentance, who will walk blindly into ruin. His voice cracks as he cries out, "If only you had known the way of peace." It's a moment that leaves even the toughest hearts shattered. Because this isn't anger anymore, it's grief. Pure, unfiltered heartbreak for a city that has traded its soul for power and pride. And as he weeps, you can feel the weight of destiny pressing down, the knowledge that his path to the cross is now unstoppable. Among the disciples, the atmosphere grows heavier. They sense the urgency in Jesus' voice, the way his parables become sharper, more desperate. He tells them of the end times, warning of wars and rumors of wars, of betrayals and persecutions. He paints a picture of a world that will reject them, hate them, hunt them down. Yet he also speaks of hope, that after the night will come the dawn, that his kingdom will rise from the ashes of broken empires. The disciples cling to his words, but fear gnaws at them. They signed up for miracles and glory. Now they realize they've entered a war, and some are not sure they are ready to pay the price. In the shadows, Judas's struggle deepens. His heart is a battlefield of conflicting emotions: loyalty, ambition, disillusionment, fear. He wants Jesus to rise up, to seize power, to become the King Judas always dreamed of serving. But Jesus speaks only of sacrifice, of surrender. In quiet, lonely moments, Judas's mind twists this into betrayal. Maybe he thinks Jesus needs a push. Maybe if the right pressure is applied, Jesus will be forced to reveal his true power. Maybe Judas, in helping, can still come out as a hero. It's the kind of dangerous self-deception that has led men to ruin since the dawn of time. And Judas, with trembling hands and a heart full of shadows, edges closer to the moment he cannot undo. And as night falls over Jerusalem, Jesus gathers his disciples one more time. There's a heaviness in the air, thick with things unsaid. He speaks of betrayal again, of suffering, of a world that will turn its back on the truth. The disciples listen, some confused, some afraid, some stubbornly refusing to believe anything could touch them while Jesus is with them. But Jesus knows better. He knows that even the strongest among them will falter. He knows the storm will scatter them like frightened sheep. Still, he loves them. Still, he presses forward. Because love, not power, not pride, not fear, is what will carry him through these final, agonizing days. And as they leave the safety of the upper room and step into the darkness, you can feel it. The end has begun. The city is restless, like a storm about to break. Whispers slither through the narrow streets. Rumors of rebellion, of prophets and kings, of soldiers ready to crush any sign of uprising. Jesus moves through the shadows with his disciples, each step heavy with unseen battles. He leads them to the Mount of Olives, and there, beneath the cold, unfeeling stars, he speaks words that chill their souls. "You will all fall away," he says, not with anger, but with the quiet sadness of someone already carrying the wounds of betrayal. Peter, brave and foolish, insists he would die before he abandons Jesus. But Jesus turns to him with a look so full of sorrow it cuts deeper than any sword. "Before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times. The words hang in the air, thick and bitter. No one speaks. Because deep down, They fear he might be right. Then comes Gethsemane, a garden of ancient olive trees, silent witnesses to humanity's oldest struggles. It's here that the weight of what's coming crashes down on Jesus with full force. He stumbles, falls to his knees, his face pressed to the cold earth. He prays with a desperation that rips through the stillness of the night. "Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me." His voice breaks, but then steadies. "Yet not my will, but yours be done." His sweat falls like drops of blood, soaking the ground. It is a battle fiercer than any fought with swords. It is the battle to surrender, to embrace the cross, knowing the unbearable agony that lies ahead. Meanwhile, his closest friends, those who promise to stand by him, sleep, oblivious to the war raging just feet away. And then, through the darkness, comes betrayal. Judas appears, leading soldiers armed with torches and weapons. His face is pale, haunted, but his resolve is set. He steps forward and kisses Jesus on the cheek, the signal of betrayal, the ultimate act of treachery dressed in a gesture of affection. Jesus meets Judas's eyes, and in that silent moment, everything is laid bare. The soldiers move in, seizing Jesus roughly. Peter, in a flash of anger and confusion, draws his sword and strikes, cutting off the ear of a servant. But Jesus, even now, in chains, refuses violence. He heals the wounded man, offering mercy to those who come to destroy him. "Am I leading a rebellion," he says, "that you come with swords and clubs?" The question is not for the soldiers, it's for the world. A world that cannot comprehend a kingdom built on love, not force. The disciples scatter, just as Jesus said they would, fleeing into the night like terrified children. Alone, abandoned, Jesus is dragged before the authorities. First to Annas, then to Caiaphas, the high priest. The trial is a mockery of justice, filled with lies, false witnesses, and seething hatred. They slap him, spit on him, demand that he defend himself. But Jesus remains silent, dignified even in chains. It is only when Caiaphas demands, "Are you the Messiah, the Son of the Blessed One?" that Jesus finally speaks, and his answer seals his fate. "I am." The room erupts in fury. "Blasphemy," they cry. Death is the only verdict they will accept. Outside, in the cold darkness, Peter shivers near a fire. 3 times, strangers accuse him of being with Jesus. 3 times, fear grips his heart stronger than faith, and 3 times he denies it. As the rooster crows, Peter remembers. He remembers the words he had so arrogantly dismissed, and he breaks. He stumbles into the night, weeping bitterly, his heart crushed under the weight of his failure. The mighty have fallen, the faithful have fled, and the Lamb of God is left to face the slaughter alone. The noose is tightening, the end is rushing toward him. And yet, even in betrayal, even in agony, Jesus is not broken. He is walking toward the darkest hour, and he is doing it for love. Morning breaks, but it brings no hope. Instead, it brings judgment. Jesus is dragged before Pilate, the Roman governor, a man who holds the power of life and death in his hands, but seems desperate to escape the weight of it. The chief priests shout accusations, their hatred burning hotter than the rising sun. Pilate questions Jesus, searching for some reason to either condemn or release him, but Jesus remains calm, answering only when necessary, speaking of truth, of kingdoms not of this world. Pilate finds no guilt in him, but the crowd, whipped into a frenzy by lies and fear, demands blood. "Crucify him!" they scream, their voices growing louder, drowning out reason, drowning out mercy. Pilate, fearing rebellion more than he fears injustice, makes a coward's choice. He washes his hands, a useless gesture, and hands Jesus over to be crucified. The soldiers seize him, stripping him of dignity and humanity. They mock him, pressing a crown of thorns into his scalp, striking his face, dressing him in a purple robe like a cruel joke. They kneel before him in false worship, laughing as they beat him. Blood mingles with sweat, running down his torn skin. Every insult, every blow, every lash of the whip is endured without resistance. He carries it all, the cruelty of man, the weight of sin, the darkness of every human heart. And then they force him to carry his own cross, staggering under its brutal weight as he stumbles through the streets of Jerusalem, the same city that days ago welcomed him with palm branches and songs of joy. Now they jeer and spit, their love turned to hatred overnight. Outside the city walls, on a barren hill, called Golgotha, they nail him to the wood. Iron spikes tear through flesh and bone, and as the cross is lifted into place, the full horror of the moment unfolds. Jesus hangs between two criminals, the King of Kings dying the death of a traitor. Yet even now, his love does not falter. He prays for those who nailed him there. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Darkness falls over the land, an unnatural, heavy darkness, as if creation itself cannot bear to watch. Jesus, gasping for breath, cries out words that shatter the heavens. My God, why have you forsaken me?" In that cry, the weight of every sin, every sorrow, every betrayal is felt. And yet, it is not despair. It is the fulfillment of a plan set in motion before the world began. As the hours drag on, his body weakens, but his spirit remains unbroken. He speaks to a repentant thief, promising him paradise. He entrusts his mother to John, even as he himself faces death. And finally, with one last powerful cry, "It is finished!" he surrenders his spirit. The earth shakes violently. Rocks split. Graves break open. The curtain of the temple, the barrier between God and man, is torn in two from top to bottom. The sacrifice is complete. The world will never be the same. A Roman centurion witnessing these events falls to his knees and whispers the truth that all heaven already knows. Surely this was the Son of God.